Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to another episode of Bhagavad Gita. Today we will begin with verse number 25, chapter number 3, Karma Yoga, verse 25. In verse 25 to 29, that is 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29, these 5 verses, the main theme that is discussed is the difference between a detached worker and an attached worker. Also, how can the detached worker deal with an attached worker? So let's begin with verse number 25. Sakta karmanya vidvamso yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvamstatha saktas chikishur loka sangraham. As the ignorant person perform their duties with attachment to the result, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right path. So here we see that outwardly both of them may look similar, both of them are performing same act, but there is a world of difference between a detached worker and an attached worker. The attached worker is doing action, performing action with the sole intention of satisfying his senses, while a detached worker is doing the action with the sole intention of satisfying the senses of Lord Krishna. He is trying to please Lord Krishna while the attached worker is trying to please himself. That's a major difference. And the next shloka, moving on, verse number 26 is Na buddhi bhedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidyan yukta samacharan. So as not to disrupt the mind of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spiritual devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. You see, here Lord says that when, you are in the platform of detached karma, but you see that the others are performing attached karma, so you don't abruptly disturb them. You don't stop them from what they're doing. On the other hand, very slowly you can engage them in devotional activities. For example, you might ask a attached person, can you get some flowers for me? I'm doing this puja and I want to offer it to the Lord. So the detached person is doing seva, but without actually being involved in it. He might be your friend, so you are giving him seva indirectly. So he's indirectly helping you in your seva. So slowly, when he does that, by Lord's grace, the light of knowledge will slowly shine in his heart, and over a period of time he will understand the intricacies of Bhakti Yoga. The verse number 27 says, Prakrite kriyamanani guna karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the 3 modes of material nature. This is an important shloka because everybody in this material world, 99% of the people, think that they are the doers of the action. You see, in our conversation, we say, I did this, I did that, I built that, I cooked this. We think that we are doing action, but in reality, the action is performed by the three modes of material nature. And the three modes of material nature is controlled by Lord Krishna. So indirectly, all the action is basically performed by Lord Krishna. But because of the false ego, because of the delusion that the living entity is in, he thinks he is the doer. Actually, for any action to be done, there are many people who are involved. In the sense, first of all, the action has to be sanctioned by the Lord. So Krishna gives a sanction. Then the various demigods who are in charge of the material nature, they give the facility for the action to be performed. You see, the Pancha Mahabhut, earth, water, fire, everything, air, that has to be supplied. And so the venue is created by the demigods. What is your contribution? Your contribution is only that you have the desire to do the action. That's all that you are doing. Basically, it's your desire. So you are not the only doer of the action. One small part is your contribution, but any action is basically done by Lord. So it is just ahankara vimudhatma. Because of false ego, ahankar, the vimudhatma, the foolish living entity, thinks that he is the doer, while in reality it is done by three modes of material nature. Verse number 28 says, Tattva vittu mahabaho guna karma vibhagayo guna guneshu vartanta iti matvana sajjate. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, O mighty arm, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the difference between work in devotion and work for fruitive result. So, a person who is in knowledge, he knows that the senses are, when an action is performed for sense gratification, it's the senses that are being gratified, but you are the pure soul, you're Atma. You're not really being affected by those pleasures or pain. The pleasure and the pain pertains to the body, and you're not the body. So an intelligent person knows that. So the person in knowledge, he knows that he's separate from the sense objects, and he does not relate to his sense organs, and also he does not disturb the ignorant person. And finally, verse number 29 says, Prakritir guna sammudha sajjante guna karmashu Tan akritsna vido mandan kritsna vinna vichalayet. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached, but the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. So again, it is how the knowledgeable person should relate to the person who is still in the bodily concept. A knowledgeable person knows that he's in the wrong place and he's in an embarrassing situation. He knows that he is Satchidananda, he is pure spirit soul, but he's entrapped in this material body, in this material world. Therefore, he does not spend any of his valuable time in any sense gratificatory process. He would always be engaged in Krishna conscious activities. Now, Lord Krishna says to the person in knowledge not to disturb those people who are engaged in materially motivated activities. But Prabhupada says that though Lord Krishna tells us not to disturb them, but the devotees of the Lord are even more compassionate than the Lord himself. So the devotees of the Lord, the pure devotees of the Lord, knows the purpose of the Lord. So they know the mind of the Lord, and therefore they know that Lord will be very happy if all his children, all the living entities, turn to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, though in Bhagavad Gita, in this verse number 29 and even verse number 26, Lord says, do not disturb the ignorant people who are engaged in material activities. But still, the devotees of the Lord go out of their way and they even take risk to bring people to Krishna consciousness. So that is the greatness of the devotees of the Lord. Verse number 30. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasyaadhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yuddhasva vikatajvara. Therefore, O Arjuna, surrendering all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desire for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from lethargy, fight. Now, in this verse, Lord very clearly for the first time says, my sarvani karmani, surrender all your work to me. My. Usually till now Krishna has not used himself, he is not indicated he's not used words like my, mama, but here he clearly says my sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa. So Lord Krishna is saying, all your work, all your action, just do it for my sake. And Srila Prabhupada in the purport has given a beautiful example of a cashier who works in a bank. The cashier in the bank counts lakhs and lakhs of rupees, but he knows that nothing belongs to him personally. He's just doing his job. His job is counting the cash, and that's what he's doing. So the key word here is nirashir nirmama. Nirmama means without a feeling of mine. Nirmama. There is no feeling of proprietorship. And nirashir, the cashier, is not desiring those money that he is counting. He is completely detached from that. He is just doing the work of counting the cash, and the company or the bank will pay him his salary. He can count crores of rupees, but he knows that nothing belongs to him. So there is no feeling of possessiveness, and there is no feeling of desiring those money. So our attitude should be like that. We are doing the work with complete detachment and complete desirelessness, surrendering all our actions to Lord Krishna. The next verse number 31. Ye me matamidam nityam anutishtanti manava shraddhavanto nasuyanto muchyante tepi karmabhi. Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow this teaching faithfully without envy become free from bondage of fruitive actions. So here Lord is going to give, in this verse he's saying what happens when you follow his teachings, and in the next verse Lord says what will happen if you don't follow the teachings. So when you follow the teaching, Lord says those who do the duty according to my instructions, they will be free from the bondage of fruitive action. And how do you follow Lord Krishna's instruction? Faithfully and without envy. Shraddhavanto means faithfully, and anusuyanto, without envy. When you follow Lord's instruction, Lord Krishna assures us that we will be free of fruitive action bondage. Now, in the next verse, number 32, Lord says what happens when you disregard his teachings. Ye tvatet abhasuyanto nanutishtanti me matam sarvajnana vimudhamstan vidhi nashtan achetasa. But those who out of envy disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. So when you don't follow Lord's teachings out of envy, and then they will be befooled and bereft of all knowledge. When a person who knows the result of a sinful action, will he still do the action when he knows what is the outcome? Well, yes, he may still do it. Why is that so? Because of our past samskara, our past impressions. So that is a compelling force that forces a person to commit sinful act even when he knows that the outcome of that sinful act is going to be bad. What to speak of somebody who does not know the outcome? Verse number 33, 34 and 35, the basic theme here is that one has to work according to one's nature. One is compelled to work according to one's nature. Verse number 33. Sadrisham cheshtate swasyaha prakritirjanavanapi prakritim yanti bhutani nigraha kim karishyati. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows a nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can repression accomplish? So here Lord Krishna is telling about everybody has got their basic nature, and basically it is the limitations of the other path, like jnana, the path of jnana yoga and the path of nishkam karma yoga. A person has to be a little purified in order to follow the path of nishkam karma yoga. Okay, and such a person, when he follows the path of jnana yoga, becomes more purified. But if a person is really not purified, meaning he is very sinful, then both the Nishkam Karma Yoga and the Jnana Yoga will not be able to help him, because for both these paths there should be some amount of goodness in the person. But take the case of Bhakti. Bhakti Yoga can purify even the most sinful person. And we find examples in Bhagavatam. One example is that of Mrigari. Mrigari was an extremely sinful hunter who used to take pleasure in the pain of other animals. He used to make them half dead. And when the half dead animal used to cry in pain, Mrigari would enjoy that. He was so sinful. But with the grace of Narada Muni, Mrigari came to Bhakti Yoga and he got completely purified. So by Lord's grace, Lord Krishna's grace, and by the grace of the devotees, pure devotees of the Lord, one can be in the path of Bhakti Yoga and get completely purified. So, just by repression or punishment, you cannot change your basic nature. So that was verse number 33. Verse number 34. इन्द्रियस्येन्द्रियस्यार्थे रागद्वेषव्यवस्थितौ तयोर्नावशमागच्छेत् तौ ह्यस्य परिपन्थिनौ. There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. So, while performing one's duty, one should not think in terms of doing only something which one likes and not doing something which one dislikes. One should rise above that. So, doing one's duty, prescribed duty, will result in gradual purification. So, raga means you like something, dvesha means you dislike something. Those raga and dvesha is pertaining to senses and sense objects, and you are much beyond that. As a spirit soul, you should not be controlled by your senses. And what happens is these are obstacles on the path of self-realization, raga, dvesha, when you have likes and dislikes. So Arjuna might ask at this point, okay, I'm a Kshatriya and my duty is to fight. So I am not going to say that I dislike fighting. But what if I choose to do the work of a Brahmana? Arjuna might have thought like that. So in the next verse, Lord Krishna says, you do your duty, you don't imitate other people. Shreyan swadharmo vigunaha paradharmat swanushtitad swadharme nidanam shreya paradharmo bhayavaha. It is far better to discharge one's own prescribed duty, even though faultily, than another's duty perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duty, for to follow another's path is dangerous. So Lord says that even if you cannot perform your prescribed duty nicely, even if you do it with fault, that is still okay. But do not try to follow or imitate another person's duty. So here in the Gita Subodhini, Gaurang Darshan Prabhu says that material duties are as per one's psycho-physical condition under the modes. So based on your psycho-physical condition, you are influenced by the modes of material nature, Rajas, Tamas and Sattva. And so one can transcend this only under the instructions of one's bona fide spiritual master. In that case, one can transcend this, one can transcend one's prescribed duty. A Kshatriya can do the duty of a Brahmana and vice versa, or the Brahmana can do the duty of a Vaishya and so on. But that will be under the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master. So the key point here is that one should always be subservient to the authority figure. The authority is the scripture or one spiritual master.